Let's get into it. Episode 592 of the Sold Not For Sale podcast. I got the wife with me.
Hello.
And we are covering the Fight Companion. As you know, when Joe sits down with three of his friends, and one of them is Sam Tripoli. If you don't know who Sam Tripoli is, look him up. Look him up. He's like Eddie Bravo times 10. Once they all sit down together, they start talking about some wild things. And today's episode is no different. We are covering weather manipulation. And very interesting to see that it's a very real thing.
Yeah,
You know?
I thought it was just a theory.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, maybe there'd be like a little bit, maybe they know how to do just here and there, but it's a thing that multiple nations have been working on.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting to talk about. We're going to be playing Joe Rogan, sitting down with the boys, talking about some good old weather manipulation, you know, just over a fight, just talking about that. And then we're going to be exploring a little rabbit hole that you fell down.
Yeah. I tend to do that. I have kind of a what if brain.
So proud. Very proud.
Whenever I read stuff, I just have to go deeper and deeper, and then I see patterns, and then I'm in the rabbit hole.
That's how everybody is. That's how it goes. There used to be a time when YouTube was the rabbit hole. You could just go deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of YouTube. It was great. It was great back then, but not anymore. But now there's people like you.
And you.
And me. And we fall down the rabbit holes, and then we bring the hole to YouTube, basically. Yep. So yeah, where do you want to start? I guess we'll start at the Rogan clip.
Yeah, we should start right in there.
And then we'll jump into all of that. And before we do that, that's right, we have to go to the store. This is IamCoachColin.com. What we have right here in front of you guys is the Public Enemy #1 shirt. Google the World Economic Forum. Google Agenda 2030. You'll understand quickly why this gentleman is Public Enemy #1. Probably has his own weather manipulation machine at home. And we have the Sold Not For Sale shirt as well. Check it out. The one that started it all. You can get that in a hoodie, t-shirts. Do we have white of this at all?
I think so.
I think we have some white as well that you can get. Let's go on here. We got the Certified Pure Blood shirt for those of you that survived the pandemic unscathed and untainted. Stay strong through the next 12 months. You never know what can happen. But for now, collect your certificate of achievement with this shirt right here. Again, we have hoodies, tank tops, t-shirts, all that, even a couple of mugs, I believe.
Yes.
And don't
Gotta
forget
love those Trump mugs.
Exactly. And don't forget about the newest design here, the We the People shirts. The we will own nothing and be happy shirts, and We the People are given the one finger salute here. I love this shirt. I wore this shirt out today. I was like, I'm gonna get some stares, but it's all right. It's all right. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. If you want a discount code, 10% off. No signing up, no emails, nothing like that. You don't have to do it. All you have to do is put in the discount code I am Coach Colin. That gives you 10% off. It's all capital letters. It's all one word. There's one L in the name, Colin. That gets you 10% off. And if you've done that with us already, we appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
All right, now let's get into the Rogan clip, and then we'll go from there. All right.
She made a video.
But the big thing you guys got to look into is weather modification and what the Chinese are doing. I did an insane episode on it, and I had this, Jim Lee and Topher Gardner came on, and
those guys?
Listen to me, bro.
Those weather
they
experts?
dropped a bomb. Dude, China has a weather manipulation system that's so
Brian,
big.
let him talk. Jesus Christ, don't you know a podcast?
It's so big, it's twice the size of Spain. That's how big it is. It's on
And
the
what are they doing with it, Sam?
So they're having water problems in China, and they're trying to create rain, and they're violating this 1978 treaty where all these governments agreed not to manipulate the weather. So we have our ecosystem is perfectly balance. And once you fuck with one thing, you fuck around with another
Well, you
thing.
know that Abu Dhabi's been doing that once a week.
Right,
They
but the
seed-
Chinese
they
are doing
make
it.
it rain once a
They
week.
seed clouds.
The Chinese are doing crazy. It's like their system is
What are they
so
doing?
big.
It's really bigger than Spain.
It's twice as big as Spain.
How is that possible?
What is?
What is in it? Like, what is it? Is it a facility?
It's all these weather modification like towers, and they're just modifying the China's
Have
weather.
you seen this other than drawing on a napkin?
Yep. Yeah, bro.
Dude, I need some sources out of you and you.
Here
Legit
it is.
question, sir.
China to expand weather modification program to cover area larger than India.
Dude, and that's CNN. You know they don't
You know
lie.
what, Sam?
What does that mean,
I
to
was
cover
gonna call
an
bullshit,
area?
but-
But when it says to cover an area, does that mean that the machine is that big?
No.
Or does it mean that it's capable of covering?
Yeah, we're
No,
talking
it
about
means
like
the
a whole
machine's that big.
It's a structure.
Experimental. This is all real, Brian Callen. Experimental weather modification program to cover an area of
Bro.
over. Jamie, stop scrolling, please. Go back up. Go back up. To cover an area of over 5.5 million square kilometers, 2.1 million square miles, more than 1.5 times the total size of India. According to the statement by the State Council, China will have developed weather modification system by 2025 thanks to breakthroughs in fundamental research and key technologies, as well as improvements in comprehensive prevention against safety risks. What does that mean? Comprehensive prevention against safety risks. What kind of risks are they?
Well,
In the next 5 years, the total area covered by artificial rain or snowfall will reach 5.5 million square kilometers, while over 580,000 square kilometers will be covered by hail suppression technologies. The statement added that the program will help with disaster relief, agricultural production, emergency response to forest and grassland fires, and dealing with unusually high temperatures or droughts, and bringing hurricanes to America.
There we go. Hey, that's not in there.
Okay.
But isn't that just
Final
technology?
thing.
Yeah, the last part was parody.
But aren't we talking about just technology?
No, man.
No.
Oh,
not.
that's it, Brian. They just like making technology
Yes.
to never use.
To feed their
So-
populations.
So everyone wanted to get into direct energy weapons, but these guys we're so far behind that little laser stuff. It's so far behind that. So far beyond that. So far beyond. In the 40s, we were working on a weapon called a sun gun, which would basically be ionizing the sky, so it would be like a magnifying glass, and you could just boom hit it.
Yes.
And that was in the 40s.
Right.
So the new thing. Okay, we'll watch fights. And I'll tell
No,
you.
no, no. But
No,
I mean,
keep going.
I like
We
how
can do
you're-
both.
But
I like
Brian,
what you're saying.
why would you dismiss that?
No, I wouldn't dismiss it. I'm saying that that's not surprising that a country like China that has bad arable land needs to figure out a way to grow enough food for its population.
Right, but also weather modification technology. Like
Yeah.
if they
Well, we've been doing
literally
that since
can
the
do
40s,
that though,
or
but
50s, right?
not at this scale.
Not to that scale.
Not even.
Capacity.
We started by
we've been
seeding
cloud
clouds,
seeding.
right.
Yeah, but this seems to be something different. What is the technology? Do you understand how it works?
Well, basically, what they were telling me is that, and this is going to be the really dumb version of it, but
Okay.
it's basically like they found it like if you could put like coal soot, black coal soot in the sky, you can manipulate the weather and control which way the weather goes, where the hurricanes go and which directions they go.
Why black hole soot?
Dude, that's not in the cliff notes.
Meanwhile, we're over here trying to have electric cars by 2035.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be electric in California. Meanwhile, China's like, good, we'll burn more coal.
yeah, right,
Hey,
100%.
but Sam, explain this. Why is this a problem? Why do we care?
Okay, so everything is a yin and a yang. Everything is duality, right?
Messes
so
up the whole
when you
ecosystem.
have a high pressure system, there's going to be a low pressure system,
Give and
right?
take,
I like
yeah.
when
The low-
Sam gets scientific.
and the low pressure system, that's where like your hurricanes and stuff happen. But in between there, you can control
Create
some
chaos.
Create like what
anybody.
they call resonance frequencies and dissonance frequencies. And this is why when we take a look at like Paradise, California, and we look at Maui and we go, why are there trees there, but these buildings are gone? Well, with a dissonance frequency, you can actually get to the frequency to specific things, and when you hit it with it, it makes it just disappear. That's how powerful it is. It's
Sam Tripoli, ladies and gentlemen. He has a podcast. He goes deeper into stuff like this. Joe Rogan and Brian Callen are only letting him scratch the surface of what he has to say about this whole situation. But he actually sits down with two people that break down what he's trying to explain. The reason I'm not even playing that part is because, love Sam, but he doesn't know how to explain it. He doesn't know how to explain it properly. If you go to his podcast, he actually sits down with two people and talks all about it extensively. These two people are experts in this field. Like, they understand it. They can explain the science behind it. So I would suggest doing that because we don't want to hear the bro science version of it. But everything he said was very true in terms of China and what they got going on. So that's very interesting. Oh, yeah, let's unmute you as well.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
No problem.
The one thing he said that's not true is that they violated a treaty of 1978.
Okay.
So the treaty was that you couldn't use weather weapons against another country, like, or as an act of war.
Okay.
But you can use it in your own country just fine.
True.
So they're not doing anything unlawful by doing this.
How interesting is that they'll set it up so it's like you can't do it to another nation, because if you did that to another nation, it would be an act of war.
Yeah.
Because you could inflict something on the people.
Yeah.
But if their government decides to do it to their people, it's fine.
Apparently the U.S.
I don't understand.
did
That's
it in
weird.
the Vietnam War.
Really?
In Vietnam, they flooded a river to make it so the army couldn't advance.
Wow.
Yeah.
And still lost? Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those people fought hard.
And then the treaty was after that.
Wow, really?
Isn't it funny that whenever the U.S. does like crazy stuff, like bombing people with nuclear weapons and
Yeah.
flooding them, after that the treaties happen?
Well, yeah.
The U.S. is like, nobody retaliate.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know what? That's the thing to do, I would think. That's how you do it, because you don't want to endanger your citizens.
No.
You want to make sure, especially in, combat, you want to do what you can. Let them know that you're very serious. Let them feel the brunt of it, and then say, okay, let's peace.
Yeah.
Because you could, thinking of combat, it's like you could, like if I was fighting somebody and I lace them up and I mess them up real bad, it's like you could get up and you could try again, but I might do that again and I might do it worse. So maybe we should just come to a peace understanding right now.
Yeah.
That's what it's like, really. And every country's just like,
all right.
yes, sir. Like, you got to, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you want to get into first? I found that, and here's one thing about that clip. Brian Callen, if you notice, he went from not believing it at all, is completely just discarding it, to as soon as Joe goes, well, this is a real thing. Yeah, I know it's real. Goes into yes man mode right away.
Yeah.
As soon as Joe flexes a little bit.
That's so funny.
And then
Well,
he
even
went-
Joe was like skeptical at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. He was skeptical a little bit, but then all of a sudden you realize, okay, this is something that's happened before. So Brian Callen went from it never happening to we've been doing it since the 40s to I'm not surprised that it's happening.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
like, he's ridiculous. He gets a little ridiculous with this whole shtick he's trying to put up of being the guy that doesn't believe any conspiracies.
Oh, that's funny.
Whatever. Well, they have a show. Him and Sam Tripoli have a show together.
Oh, really? And they just debate?
Where exactly? So Sam will bring something up. He'll say it's wrong. They'll have like a whole debate. Brian's arguments. It's very odd to see someone who's against that type of thing have very flimsy arguments. Like he doesn't understand. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's very, very odd to watch. I've seen it so many times. And I'm just like, he's just making things up.
Zero evidence.
Just zero evidence.
Just what he
zero
thinks.
backing. Barely even what he thinks. It's silly, but it's a fun podcast to watch. It's a fun podcast to watch somebody get trampled like that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So let's get into it. What did you find? What rabbit hole did you fall?
Okay, well, we'll start with the straight facts, first of all,
Okay.
just to give a bit of background. So,
Let me know where you want to go with the websites.
okay, we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
So the Beijing Weather Modification Office is the name of the government entity that
Yeah.
takes care of the weather modification in China. And they say it employs 37,000 people nationwide. So it's like this big operation.
Really?
And like they were talking about in the clip, like it covers a very large area.
Wow.
And they do this by what they call cloud seeding, which is basically just concentrating the clouds to make sure it rains.
Okay.
So they do this either in like outskirt areas, like around cities, so it won't rain in the city, or they do it to like target rain on certain areas that experience drought.
That's very interesting, because how long has California been going through a drought? Like, I mean, maybe not currently, but how many times have you heard
Yeah.
that they're going through a drought and that people have to watch their water usage and this and that?
Yeah.
Why aren't they
I don't know.
just seeding California constantly?
I don't know.
That's very weird.
But it's also said they can do it to help with forest fires.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
You just make it rain over those areas,
That would be great.
or rain a lot on the areas where it's like headed to.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
if you could make
So
it
it's
rain on
already
like a
wet.
residential area,
Yeah.
then that'd be perfect.
Huh. That would be perfect.
Weird, eh?
And they didn't do that.
No.
They're not doing that all the time.
Yeah. There was also a very severe dust storm in April 2006 in China that they seeded clouds around because it helps tamp down the dust.
A dust storm?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought that was something that was like segregated to like deserts.
Yeah, I don't know. I think China has some bits of very dry kind of desert land.
Yeah, it is a beautiful place.
And it's very diverse.
Yeah, aside from, the people that run it, the place is absolutely gorgeous. It is. It has like mountains. It has beautiful and
it has those like crazy like Avatar style mountains too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I wish I could go there, but I feel like I can't.
You probably wouldn't be let in.
I feel like they'd stop me.
Yeah, probably. I think so.
And if they did let me in, I'd be like, oh no, now I'm in there.
No, how do we get out?
They got me.
But they also created snow on New Year's Day in 1997.
Really?
Yeah.
Not Christmas Day, just New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. Maybe they were a bit late. I don't know.
True.
But I don't think are they primarily Christian?
I feel like they are.
I feel like they are too, but I'm
like
not
they
100% sure because there's a lot of like mixed
Well,
Asian religions.
Yeah, true enough. But I'm sure there's a large. We're everywhere.
Because every kind of Chinese person I grew up with was Christian.
Yeah, 100%.
True.
That are Catholic.
Yeah, and they also used weather modification in the 2008 Beijing Olympics.
Oh, really?
Because remember, everybody was so concerned that we couldn't have the Olympics there because the air pollution was too bad.
Yes.
They handled it.
Oh, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I remember that.
They handled it.
Wow. So they made like clear skies, or they made snow?
Well, they got rid of the smog. So they, I guess, increased the... Well, like Sam Tripoli was talking about, the different like high pressure, low pressure zones.
Okay.
If you can manipulate that, then you can create wind.
Oh.
So wind will take out all the smog and pollution.
Wow. I mean, aside from all the nefarious possibilities, that sounds amazing.
Right? Like if like the right
great.
people were doing this with the right purpose, like it could be amazing.
Right? That would be great. That'd be really great.
It'd be so cool.
Yeah.
If you click on the first link I sent you there from The Guardian.
Yeah.
They also did it on just a celebration they were having.
Mm-hmm.
So this was in, how do you say the square name again? I always forget.
Tiananmen Square?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in Tiananmen Square, they had a celebration for the 100th year of the Chinese party. And they didn't want it to rain on them. So they seeded the clouds in the surrounding areas. So any clouds that were kind of on their way to the city, they just made condense and rain before. So they couldn't rain on those celebrations.
Wow.
Crazy, eh?
That's wild. Yeah, I would. I leave it to China to do something like that. Like, they do so many different things that you could deem like odd or spectacular. Like the way they built an Eiffel Tower in China.
Yeah.
They built like a replica of Paris.
Yeah, they have amazing resources.
Like they just do things like that. Like I remember watching this one documentary where it was just showing how many tall skyscraper like buildings there are, and they're completely empty. They'll have like 2 people inside them. Just like
I've
weird
seen
stuff.
that.
Weird
It's
stuff
kinda
like
creepy.
that. Very creepy, but also I don't know. And there's another replica town that they built, and it's in an effort to not have the people of China have to leave China.
Yeah.
So if you want to experience Paris, you can. If you want to take like wedding pictures there, you can.
Yeah.
But you'll just go to like their version of Paris.
But then I've also seen like buildings just crumbling because the building code is so poor.
Yeah.
They're like cardboard basically.
They're building them really fast.
Yeah.
Like, a little too fast. And
There's like paper mache going up.
I think someone said that was so they could inflate their GDP, make it look like it was more than it actually was because they were building so much. Like they needed to, but they're really all empty.
Interesting.
I don't know with that place. I wish I knew more about it.
Yeah, I wish we knew more like truth because everything that we hear is going to be filtered
Very filtered.
by not only the Chinese but our own government.
Yeah. Like I remember Joe Rogan had this guy on, Asian guy, and he was talking about how he lived there, and Joe Rogan was talking about like the social credit system. And I've watched documentaries of people using it and having it and being impacted and going through the whole thing of it. And this guy was just like, I've never experienced it. I never saw it anywhere. I was like, how?
What?
How? You lived there for years? You never saw it once?
That's crazy.
I don't know. So either I was seeing some kind of propaganda or that guy is spewing some kind of propaganda.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like that truth. Like, how do you get to it?
Huh.
Because he's just like, no, I didn't see anything. It's like, what?
Or he doesn't, or he like grew up in that system. So he doesn't see it as being a social credit system, you know?
But it's very obvious. I mean, it's literally a score on your phone.
Yeah,
It's like the way like you would look up
like
a credit score. Yeah,
but it's a social score.
Same thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but whatever.
Okay, go to the next link I sent you there. So all this weather modification things reminded me of something that happened in London in 1952. And this resulted in between 4,000 and 10,000 people passing away.
Wow.
Basically what happened was this weather system rolled in. And if you scroll down, you can see this picture of the city. I don't know if that's from like when this happened, but
the smoggy part?
Yeah. So London is typically a very foggy, kind of misty town.
Yes, of course.
Because they're in a valley. So there's very like much higher land around them apparently. So this weather system moved in that was just like cold air. Okay. So the cold air had trapped everything in the city so that the air couldn't like circulate and move out.
Okay.
So what happened was in the 50s, they were burning so much coal that there was so much smog buildup that couldn't escape.
Really?
So it built up over 5 days and killed a whole bunch of people.
Wait, so the smog built up so much?
Yeah, that people literally couldn't see. Like people were on the streets, like hacking their lungs out, like needed masks. People couldn't drive. They had bus drivers with like conductors in front of them with flashlights to make sure they didn't hit anyone.
And it's so weird you bring that up because I remember back when I was doing Uber Eats, I had days like that. You know, I had days like that, and then they started contributing it to the fires later on. But
yeah,
I remember before any talk of fires, there was a few days like that where I was like everybody was driving with their caution lights on. And I remember I even did a video of it. It's on my Instagram.
Oh yeah, with the weird like
where I'm
particle
showing
mist.
that it's like people are thinking it's mist, and I'm like it's like flowing, like it's dust almost. And then I remember I should have took a video of it because my windshield actually had like stuff on it.
Oh, weird.
And it seemed like it was some kind of dust. It was weird. It was really weird. I remember everywhere was like that. Everywhere. It was very, very odd. Yeah. Very odd. And multiple people experienced it. There were people in British Columbia, Canada that experienced it. New York. There's people in I think LA, because I remember some people commented on this post. There were people from multiple places, like very far from each other, that experienced the same thing.
Yeah, I think I saw some videos from like Toronto as well. Like from like high rises.
At multiple places, all at the same time as well. And it kept coming back at night. It was like not during the day. As soon as a certain time of night would hit, it would come back.
Yeah, super weird.
And multiple people reported that same thing. I don't know what that was though.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, but I don't think this was caused by weather manipulation, but it just made me think of it immediately because this is like one of the things that could happen.
Yeah, it's a possibility. Definitely.
Like you could make this happen in a city.
You could make this happen in the city. You can also make it go away.
Yes.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, that too.
Mm-hmm.
So just very, very crazy time for them. And they enacted a whole bunch of like coal burning laws. But the people who were most effective were in the kind of poorer parts of London.
Yeah.
Who had more like coal burning, and there were like more factories in the area.
Wow.
So it was really bad. They said when people were walking on the street, you couldn't look down and see your feet.
That's interesting.
Like it was so bad.
That's very bad. That's much worse than what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, much worse.
Yeah, super bad. So that's something that potentially could happen. And then something, now that we're getting into more rabbit hole things of what could happen.
Okay.
I found this article, which is the next one, if you want to pull it up.
This one?
Yeah. And it was talking about countries that are indebted to China. So I was just reading through this and was looking at all these different countries, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Like a couple of them kind of rang a bell in my head. Yeah. And I was like, there's been like stuff in the news about these countries.
Yeah, of course.
So if you scroll down a little bit, there's a part that says too much debt and lists like a whole bunch of countries.
I see it.
Okay, so there's countries there, so they're all indebted to them. And then if we keep scrolling down, it says 2 of the countries, Zambia and Sri Lanka, have already gone into default on their loans, unable to make even interest payments on loans financing ports, mines, and power plants. So China's
Zambia
putting
and Sri Lanka.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yep, and then there were the couple before that too.
Yeah, that was Pakistan, Kenya, Laos. Is that it?
Yep. Lots of places.
Okay.
So all these places are indebted to China because they're building like big infrastructure and things.
Mm-hmm.
So if we keep scrolling down in this article, I promise it'll get to a point at some reason here.
Where?
Let me just see. Okay, well it says rioters in Sri Lanka stormed the palace.
So just hit there's headlines here. So poverty and revolt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's people like revolting all over the place.
Okay, so rioters last year poured into Sri Lanka streets.
Yeah, and Pakistan, millions of textile workers have been laid off because they can't afford to keep the electricity and machines running. So all these people are losing their jobs.
Wow.
And then scrolling down a bit more, in Kenya, government has held back paychecks to thousands of civil workers.
Wow.
To be able to pay back their loans.
Jeez.
And if we keep scrolling down, we wonder, how did it get this bad?
Mm-hmm.
Where did it go? That exact thing. Oh, sorry, just had a pop up. Okay, so it says in the second paragraph there, these countries were then hit with two unexpected events that helped inch them closer to collapse. The war in Ukraine, which has sent prices of grain and oil soaring, and the United States Federal Reserve's decision to raise interest rates that have made loans much more expensive.
Wow.
So there's a whole bunch of countries that are very indebted to China, and there's world events that are making it worse for them.
Yeah.
There are people are revolting. There's issues in the government. And the thing about this too is that nobody knows what the terms are for China's loans to these countries.
Oh, really?
Normally when countries loan to other countries, it's very set terms, like nothing secretive. These ones are secretive.
Yeah. Same with Africa. Like Akon, the music artist, he took like $1 billion loan from China to do something for Africa.
And it's probably all, again, very secretive terms.
It's probably terrible for Africa.
Okay.
And he's probably going to, whatever, I won't speculate, but, people pocket money. I will say that.
So before we get into this, I'd like to preface it by saying these are just opinions.
Yeah, it's
and
not real.
We're just
this is performance art.
Yes, exactly.
That's what Alex Jones ended up saying. The whole thing's just a performance.
Yeah.
There's no black helicopters. I don't know anything about frogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no helicopters, no frogs here. We're good. Okay, so if you go to the next link I sent you.
Yeah.
Floods in Zambia, that's 2022.
Floods.
That's one of those countries we were discussing.
Imagine that you don't pay and then all of a sudden the weather changes.
Go to the next link.
The next link here.
East Africa hit by drought, yet Kenya's lake is flooding.
What?
Okay, next link.
4 million. Wow.
Children in Pakistan have no safe water a year after deadly floods, also 2022.
Wow.
Next link.
Catastrophic floods hit Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. That's wild.
And another one.
Another one?
Yeah.
Let's go here. Where is it? This one?
Yeah. Sri Lanka. Over 2,000 displaced and 3 dead after heavy rain, floods, and landslides.
Wow.
All 2022.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So those are all the things that article mentioned, all those places are flooded.
Jeez.
In the past year and a half.
Jeez. That's wild.
Isn't that chilling just to begin with?
Yeah.
And then do you also remember at the end of that article, it was saying like world events was making it worse for these countries, including the Russia-Ukraine situation, as well as the interest rates from the U.S. government. So if you click on the next link, China complicit in Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
That was very interesting. When I saw this, when you had me pull this up,
you were like, "What?"
Well, just because MI6 chief tells Politico.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like, it's one thing if some journalist is just like, this is what I think because of what I see. It's a whole nother thing when someone from MI6 is like, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Now, I mean, it's hard because, their intelligence. And, deception and intelligence go hand in hand at times. But yeah, very interesting article. Implicit in Russia's invasion. Ooh. And you know what? In Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, it's definitely been something. I think RFK Jr. has touched on this. Tucker Carlson's touched on this. I've heard some other people online just talking about how this situation is so crazy because it's driving Russia into China's arms.
Yeah.
It's like it's forcing them to become allies.
Yes.
You know, you're in this situation, you start looking for who, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yep.
You know, that kind of thing. So it's interesting. Very interesting.
Later on in that Politico article, it says, what may have happened, which I know many Russians find deeply uncomfortable, is that the balance of power between them has shifted, he said. It's very hard to look at them and not recognize that one is very much now subservient to the other. Meaning Russia is now subservient to China. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. And then the other world event that made it difficult for these countries indebted to China was that the U.S. Federal Reserve increased their interest rates. So if we go to that next link there, China actually put their interest rates down in response to the U.S. Federal Reserve putting theirs up. So the U.S. was trying to kind of stifle their economy and help with like housing prices and foreign investment and everything.
Yeah.
Whereas China was putting theirs down to try and inflate their economy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And make it look like it was growing faster than the U.S.
Yes. See, that is something they do. That's exactly what I was bringing up with the buildings. Like they were trying to make it seem like, I said GDP, but I think it had something to do with their economy. I know those things are probably hand in hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the things that they try to do to make it seem like they have more going on than they actually do.
Yeah.
Elon Musk also touched on how they act like their populations aren't collapsing. Elon Musk was talking about how like China's population is like on the verge of collapse. He's like, they have not much more time to like have more people. And my thoughts when I first saw this documentary years ago, I was like, maybe they're building all these buildings because at some point they're going to fill them with some people.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe whoever will come over and be there.
Well, they're flooding out all these lands.
Wow. Yeah, true. True enough. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So all the things in that article, like I looked into and every single one, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just wild. But it's like, then why would they be flooding those lands?
What?
I don't think they actually believe they're going to get billions of dollars back from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, you want the land, I would think.
Yeah.
I think you want it.
And they're also like
that's what they're doing with Africa.
Yeah.
Like they're going to own Africa.
Exactly.
By taking all these African nations, all these politicians, which politicians are bad all over the world, and these African ones are the same. They're taking all these loans. They're probably siphoning a bunch of money and padding their pockets and their families and whatnot. And China's going to own Africa within like 20 years, 30 years. They're going to own it because the loans that they're taking, these African nations, they can't pay back.
No, exactly.
Like Akon took this $1 billion loan in order for them to have electricity. So it's like once you get electricity, you could be on some path on the way back, but you're starting from like -5.
Yeah.
You just got electricity. How are you going to pay back this $1 billion?
Yeah.
How are you going to build fast enough? They could, maybe, but then I don't know about the interest. I don't know about how this
exactly.
loan
Nobody
works.
knows the terms.
Because the terms might just be like, yeah, you can have this money, you can have electricity, but also we're going to be coming there.
Yeah.
We're going to be owning this. I think I said it. I think I've heard it before, but the U.S. had this way of going into places and like spreading like liberty and freedom, which would be like destruction at times, a lot of times. And China has this way of going in and just being, they use infrastructure.
Yes.
Where some nations will use war, they use infrastructure. We're going to help you build this. We're going to help you do that. And that's their way into a nation.
So I'd be interested to see later on if all of these flooded nations have some kind of different deal with China.
Yeah.
In terms of rebuilding with infrastructure. We'll have to wait and see. But I just find it very suspicious that all the places that are highly indebted to them, and we're talking about their weather manipulation.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's crazy.
It's interesting to think about.
And they're involved in the things that made it a worse situation for these people, so they had to default on their loans.
Yeah. That would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Very intelligent. Very intelligent. Have you ever heard the story of the gentleman who runs China? Xi Jinping?
No.
He has a wild, like, movie-like story.
Really?
Apparently, his mother... There's just a story of family of his, like, starving to death, dying, like, being
God.
in this horrible situation. And just thinking about that, like, being this very impoverished kid and then having things like that happen, and you're like, I'm gonna rule this place.
That's crazy.
Like, apparently, like, that's what it's like. I don't know for sure. I want to look into it, but apparently there's a wild story behind him.
Wow.
And his rise to power. I'd love to hear his. I'd love to hear Putin's as well.
Yeah.
Putin, you know what Putin's like? He's like, say the name, Limster.
Oh, Lyman Lemnitzer.
Putin's like, if that gentleman, Lyman Limster,
Lyman Lemnitzer.
Lemnitzer, that's like him becoming president.
Yeah.
Staying president.
True.
Because Putin was like in the intelligence.
And changing the constitution so that he could stay president forever.
Yeah. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, terrifying, but interesting that he was able to do it.
Yeah.
Like, wild. I don't know.
But yeah, that's my theory.
Well, I mean, it's a theory, allegedly. I mean, who knows who thinks that? You know, we just find the tabs and we click the tabs. That's all.
Yeah, we just show the news.
Just clicking tabs.
Unrelated.
Yeah. You know.
Unrelated news
articles. If
articles.
there's a connection, there is. But if there's not, there's not. You know? That's the way it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Let's make this a little bigger. I just want to play this last one here. Let's make this huge for people. Just them actually talking about something that they did. Little report here. Let's play this last one.
Has just been released by Beijing's Tsinghua University, revealing that the government artificially changed the weather for that event. Peter O'Brien, France 24's technology editor, is here to tell us more. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Annette.
It's not the first time that China has reportedly hacked the weather for a major event. Most famously, they did it for the Beijing Olympics back in 2008. So what made it different this time around?
Well, it was as if by magic this time. So the centenary celebration started about 8 a.m. and it was overcast conditions at the time. And then shortly after the event, the Rangers started chucking it down. It was as if the weather was as perfectly choreographed as the event itself. And compared to other events, well, like the Olympics, for instance, where we weren't sure what effects exactly were happening as a result of China's attempts to modify the weather. Well, this time we've got this peer-reviewed report quite clearly showing that because of the weather modification, well, the pollution dropped in Beijing. It went from moderate to good on the World Health Organization scale, and that's a result of this cloud seeding technology, artificially creating more precipitation. Now, China has clearly refined this technology after spending billions of euros on it and testing it extensively. They employ tens of thousands of people in their weather modification bureau across China, and last year they announced they were planning to extend this program to cover an area spanning 5.5 million square kilometers. That's 1.5 times the size of India. The idea is not just then to reduce smog to make pretty pictures for events in big cities, but to help rural areas fight droughts, preventing hail, destroying crops, and even stopping wildfires and dust storms.
Now, rainmaking is no longer just for wizards or various other people who have so-called special skills. So explain to us, how does cloud seeding actually work?
Well, the main thing you need to remember is that you need a cloud to begin with. We're not just talking about creating clouds out of nothing. This is just about enhancing how much rain they produce. So if you think a cloud is...
So, I just wanted to play that.
Yeah. Just validates everything we said.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of.
About like the real stuff.
Who knows? I mean, you know, they're good people, you know? Mm-hmm. But employs a lot of people.
So many.
A lot of people working on that.
37,000.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Just to think about. That's massive.
Insane.
I wonder how much is every nation dedicating towards that, I wonder.
I don't know.
Very interesting. Very interesting, because we're constantly thinking about what kind of aircrafts would nations be making, drone technology would they have, you know? But no one thinks of that technology.
No.
Right?
Like, that's still just like a kind of a crackpot theory.
Yeah.
Like, if I told my parents that, they'd be like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Huh. Well, anything else?
No, that was it.
Well, have fun with that, guys. Sleep tight.
Thanks for coming with us down the rabbit hole.
Sleep tight. If you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. We're making 1 to 3 videos a day. And I don't know anyone else that's doing that. And other than that, we are out.
Bye.